Can you hear me, Niels? So I'm using Streamlabs OBS and it did an update today and it looks like it was not too stable, this super update. Okay, so let's just have a look. Okay, I'm gonna ignore the music for now because it feels like I shouldn't touch the streaming setup here. Cool. So now let's do yarn.dev here. And let's see if it's compiling. Yeah, definitely seems to be so-so. So it's ready on localhost 8080. So let's have a look if everything is still working here. Come on. Compiling, yeah, you can do it. Here we go. Okay, it's complaining about something. Auth is not exported from Firebase. But we've seen it, didn't we? So let's do this step by step again. So Firebase auth. Also, my computer is really working here today. I don't know what the problem is. We had a look at Firebase already, didn't we? Like this. Okay, so what do we see here? We see here auth. Is that a typo in the documentation? So we see here auth. And then, no, that seems to be something else. Oh no, here GitHub auth provider. Okay. Firebase app? Where is this coming from? We were just here and it told... No, where was it? It was here. Nope. Ah, secret on stream. Well done, Stefan. Okay. So where was the documentation here? And let me close the secret here. Provider. Where was the example? Okay, thank you, Niels. Here we go. Let's see what you sent here. Oh my God. This this is terrible today. Okay. Install Firebase. Okay. And now I open Firefox, and when I open it again, then I want to keep all my things here. So let's do it like this. Okay, so let's see what we have. When we go here now, so import Firebase, auth, and Firestore. Okay, that seems to be all right. Let's see. But shouldn't it be in the client and not in the... Okay, we did this, we did this. But is that the... But I had a different tutorial open, which was just the authentication. I think this is a different thing here right now. What I was looking at initially was this one here. So add your thing to the thing. Yeah, we did this. All right, let's see. So I think I got a little ahead here. So first things first, does this import work? When we go here, this should still work. And it does not. So it was like this first. So does that work? Let's see. That doesn't work either. So this is the tutorial for the authenticate using GitHub with JavaScript, right? And I'm a little lost here already. Wasn't there, I had a GitHub open already that showed exactly what to do here. So this is Firestore or something. Install Firebase. Okay, then, okay, Niels, I'm gonna trust you here on that one. So let's give that a try. So let's see. So that made it through. Okay. So what we want to do as a next step is provider Firebase auth provider. Can I read property GitHub auth provider of undefined? So this is not it. I don't think we're on the right path here. Provider. Where was this GitHub repository that I had open? So this is the one that Neil sent over. Let's see. I got here and then we did GitHub. Oh, second time, Stefan, oh my God. Sign up. Add Firebase to your JavaScript project. Firebase auth, like this. And then like this. Should be on npm or something, right? npm Firebase. Okay, what did I had before, René? We had this, and then I should just do import. But what should it import though? Like this? What? Does that work now? I honestly have never seen something like this here. Okay, so are you saying when I now go in here that this now works? Did you find that in some documentation here? Where is this coming from? This literally doesn't make any sense to me. that works. Okay, let's see if we're still... Okay, Firebase, no Firebase app default has been created. So we need to have an access token. Gives you the GitHub access token. Okay, we could now move on, but I'm totally puzzled by this. René, can you send the Stack Overflow questions? This literally doesn't make sense to import something without assigning it to something else. I really don't get it. And for the access tokens, this gives you a GitHub access token. You can use it to access the GitHub API. All right, so I'm gonna copy what Niels sent again. So let's see. So where is an import? This is super wild. This is definitely... I have to read about this. I've never seen something like this. Yeah, René, I think you're right that it's adding something to this, but then there is something... What has to happen then is that this script here also adds something to the window object somehow so that this can inject itself. Because otherwise that shouldn't work. Okay, but with this what we have is we made it to import Firebase. So that is something. And we created here provider, which is the GitHub auth provider. And then in Firebase, we're calling auth, signing with pop-up. And then we get it as some result, which is a token and a user, and we have some error messages. So and this now brings the first problem that we probably face here is that this code is probably supposed to run only in the client. And I assume that this cannot work when it's running on the server side, which is not complaining about, it's complaining about the Firebase app. Where should we define something like what we want to deal with here? Let's have a look at the documentation again. What we're dealing with is auth. Here we go. Yeah. How does Firebase know that this is my app right now? Because I think it does not. Because this result here is the result from Firebase. This is nothing that I have to set. We have here an error message. Where would I configure what we're dealing with here? It could run... Okay, let's figure out first, how does Firebase know that this is my app here right now? We should have that somewhere in the source code, no? So when we go here, point number 3 on the previous page. Thank you, Fossi. So let's see, point number 3. Which point number 3 do you mean? I don't see a 3. Oh boy, I'm totally failing here today. Let's see what Niels just sent over. Point number 3. Add the Firebase SDK. We did this. We did this. Yeah. Initialize app with Firebase config. Thank you very much. Here we go. So let's bring this one in. And what does need to be in there? Firebase config. Learn about the Firebase config, Andre. To initialize Firebase in your app, you need to provide your app's project configuration. You can obtain tool. Okay, so let's do this. Go into the Firebase project settings, and let's hope that I'm project settings. Okay. Am I exposing the next thing? No, that should be client side code. That should work. And your app's config Firebase SDK snippet. Firebase as my apps, yeah. Today I learned local. Do I need Firebase hosting? I don't think. Okay. Copy and paste this into your body thing. Okay. So let's go back here. Let's define the Firebase config. And as it's written here that this is supposed to be posted into the body tag, that should actually should be safe to have that here right now on screen. Okay, so with this, when we save this, let's see what we're getting here. Okay, so it's not now compiling. And when I go back to localhost, it's opening a pop-up. Okay, it's blocking it. Let's see. But it is, nope. Today I learned.dev by Stefan Judis. Authorize. Holy cow, that's it? All right, let's see what we got here. So I don't want to log the token that we have here, but what we could do is we could do console log result. What was written there before? Result.user. Here we go. So when we here now do a refresh, we open the console. And I'm gonna refresh the whole thing. It should open the pop-up again, I assume. No? That did just work. What's up now? So let's clear that up here again. Firebase app. I think it's time to restart this whole thing. It looks a little bit puzzled. So let me clear the screen. Let's run yarn dev again. And we're gonna see if that already worked. But it did once, which is super nice. I have no clue what I'm doing here, but it opened already pop-up. So let's see. Localhost 8080. Yeah. Come on. Rebuilding, thank you. And this shows nothing. Why is that? Okay, Firebase app name default already exists. App duplicate app. What is going on? So I have the Firebase config here, which I have in Firebase here, and then we are doing exactly the same thing. Okay, continue to the console. So here we have the app, and let's just make double sure that this is the right thing here still. So we're gonna do const, and when we now refresh this one. Okay, Firebase error. Firebase app name default already exists. So where's this default coming from? I don't get it. Is there something in default in here? No. Pretty much not. Firebase initialize app. Firebase config. Okay. Firebase app name default already exists. Is it trying to generate a new app somehow? Is it maybe puzzled by a hot reloading or something? So let's, I'm gonna yeah. So what we're gonna do is, as René already said, let's bring in use effect here. To only do that once. So we're gonna go in here and I'm just gonna move that whole shizzle down. And what we're gonna do is we have here a functional component that is home. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do use effect, bring in a callback, have no dependencies on this, and then paste that one in. So with that, very dirty, theoretically. But the question is how that works on the server side though. So it's still throwing the same error here. So let's bring that here to the right side. Compiled. Here we go. Okay, we have a pop-up. And theoretically now in the console, we have, what is that? Is that a user? That is not a user. So let's have a look, do a refresh here. It's still running into the same problem, even though we now have a use effect here. It seems to run, has problems with the hot reloading. Okay, but this seems to be the user. Okay. Cool. So what we have here now is we are able to somehow authenticate with Firebase. So when we now go back to the Firebase UI and into authentication, I assume that we see one user there. Nice. Okay, so what should we do next? I think that first of all, this whole thing here should be not in this route, but it should probably be in a layout component or something like that. And I really wonder if there is a ready-made package for dealing with auth. And it doesn't look like it is. Okay. So what we're gonna do is 14 minutes read. Firebase, we did that. And we did that too. Is there something like, here we go, this is what I'm looking for actually. So we have a router, we have a set email, set hour, set password. Should we bring in, let's see, Next.js, Firebase auth. Is there maybe an example that we can have? Oh, they are so good. Firebase authentication example. Well, thank you. Maybe we should have maybe we should have started with that from the first place. So we have here something that does init Firebase. Okay, and this is first of all what we're going to copy here, because I assume that this prevents the initialization problem that we have. So let's add this here, and then theoretically I think that we can do hot reloading without an error. So let's check that out first. So it's opening the thing, and even when I now go into index and I do something in the template here, it should still work and not throw an error. Nice. It's always pushing up the pop-up, but I think I can live with that. So with this, how did they do it? When we go to Next.js, so they have this init thing, they have something with cookies. But what I'm actually interested in is how they build the pages. So we see here that there is an index route, which fetches some stuff from use user. And then they have if not user, blah, 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 blah. That makes sense. So let's have another look at how they handle. So here's an auth route. Okay. When we go here again, user. Okay, let's see what's happening here. So it's using, this is a hook to handle Firebase. So it's initializing the whole thing, and then it defines the user. And then on use effect, it does basically the same thing as we do. And then it sets the user. Okay. And it gets it from a cookie user. So how do they place that in cookies? Do they stringify the whole thing? Yeah. Set user cookie. Set user cookie. Okay, so when we go back into init Firebase. Okay, what do you think? Should we write a custom hook that does pretty much the same? I think that makes sense here to have something like that. So what we could do is we could create a new directory here, which I'm gonna call hooks. And then let's just say the example is pretty solid. Should we copy that? I don't want to copy actually everything here. So let me copy this file and let's see what we can reuse here. So I'm gonna go in here and let's say use user.js. Let's see what we got. So what we have here is use effect, use state. Let's drop the router for now. We have Firebase auth, init Firebase. I don't want to just copy files around. So let's try to make that work somehow from here. So what I'm gonna open is I'm gonna open what we have already working theoretically. So here we have our hard-coded Firebase config, which we have here. And then we have this part here already. That seems to work, right? Here we go. And we have Firebase app and Firebase auth. Okay. And then we have a provider here. So let's clean that up. So what we would like to do is we would like to get rid of this and have all this here on the left side in a custom use user hook. So I'm gonna comment that out for a moment. So the way that this should work is that we have this page component here, and what we want to do here is there should be an export here somehow. Export use user, right? So what we want to do here is import from, and then where are we? Probably one up, hooks, use user. And here we want to have a use user hook that we can then have here. Use user, something like that. And that potentially, what should that return? User and logout. So here we would have something like user and logout. So this is what we're aiming for here. And then we only, what's your problem? Then we would only have to make this custom hook work. Okay, I'm not writing React hooks every day, so let's make our way slowly through this. So the example from Next.js started with something like this. So it defines the state for the user, which makes sense. I'm not really into using the router because for today-i-learned.dev, if we look at the example of having several posts, I don't think that we would need to redirect something. And then we have a logout function, which doesn't need to redirect, I assume. And then we have an effect hook. Hello, Gaio. How's life? And then we have a use effect that does some user cookie stuff. But I think for now, let's copy all these kind of things, place it down there somewhere, and then let's make our way from scratch. So I'm gonna add these here just to maybe use them later when I'm lost. But what we want to do actually here is in this use effect hook, what we would like to do is we would like to do the same thing as we have here already initially. So I'm gonna grab this stuff and I'm gonna put it into use effect. Here we go. Which now means when this custom hook is triggered, then we want to sign it with a pop-up, and then what we want to do is we want to set user result user. And we probably should export also an error from here. So we have an error object here, which we then can pass here too. So we're gonna have set error, which I need another state handler for, and that we can add here. So we have error and set error here, which is null, 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 and result user. That's just a TypeScript error that I assume that I have, which now means when I'm in the index route, this is now a custom hook that receives three things, and potentially let's have a look at these three things and see if the hook is working properly. So when we now go back to localhost, it is indeed opening the Firebase pop-in, and when we so we have an undefined error object, and that's logout is there. It's a function for logout. Oh, it's behind me. Wait, here. So logout is actually passed down in this function here. So I don't like that it is undefined. So let's go with null here. And when we log out, what we probably want to do is also set user equals null again. Set user null. What's your problem here? Oh, it's refresh. Okay, every refresh now is triggering Chrome to come into the front. Okay, so what that means is now that we could have here potentially something like a button, and then on click, and what we're going to do here is we're going to do an anonymous function, and then we do logout here. I think I could also drop the function, but let's stick with that for now. And then let's say log me out of Firebase, which then means, so let's have a look what happens. So when we go here, we should first of all have now a button, which we have there really nicely on top. So let me clear up the console here. And when I click this, we see that, well, user is null again, which is nice. But when I now do refresh that, it should be that it is asking for the, it is not asking for me to press the GitHub button again, which is interesting. So let's have a look again. Sign out, set user null. Okay. But here we have, let's do a refresh here. Okay, and here we have my user object. So let's see if we can get something nice out of there. So we have the email here. So let me just grab, do something like, oh no, not result, user email, something like this. What? I wrote a lot of 11T code lately. So what we're going to do is here we add a span and we say hello, this, and if not user, we say please log in. Here we go. So let's see if what happens here now. So when we fix that, I think. So it knows that it's me. And when I now click the button, it should do please log in. But how is it keeping this session right now? Okay, but that's cool. Sweet. So with this, I have a little bit of a login mechanism already done. So what we probably should do next is when I do now a refresh, is that it is not getting the user from some local state. And to figure that out, I would actually just have a look how they do this. So user from cookie, get user from cookie. So let's see how the Vercel folks had this cookie handling. And they're really just, so where's this used? Set user cookie. So let's have a look. Are they just stringifying the whole thing? There's a component for that. So they're mapping something. Okay, let's have a look. So they're mapping. So they're defining in here set user cookie. Map user data. So they're cleaning it up first. So they're not doing just JSON stringify. So let's have a look what they're actually cleaning up. So what they, well, that is straightforward. are there functions on the user object? Is it not just data? So when we have a look at the user here, we see that the user has, is that a thing? So they're using user get ID token. Is that available here? So when we do CLG, oh no, let's do it on the other end. So when we get the user, let's have a look and CLG result user, or was it get ID token? Interesting. And then they're going to do true on it. Force refresh regardless of token expiration. Returns JSON web token. Aha, okay. So JSON web token, you can safely store that in the client. So what we're going to do here is we're going to not set the whole user, but what we're going to do is we're going to grab, yeah, let's just do the same thing here, right? We get the user here. And we're going to do const user equals result. And then we grab the UID from the user. Then we have an, does it allow me to do that? And then we have a token, we have an ID, and then we set this whole thing inside of the user. And then we should have more or less the same thing. So let me just get rid of this one, save this whole thing. And now we don't have a whole bunch of things going on here anymore, but now we should have a very clean user object, which has an ID, it has a JWT, which is a JSON web token. So if, in case you are not familiar with JSON web token, this is how it works. Basically, it's an encoded string of values. And if you want to dig into JWTs, I can highly recommend having a look at this resource here. It's a good read and describes a little bit how this whole thing works. Also, my former colleague Phil Nash gives an excellent talk about JSON web tokens. So I can also highly recommend this one if anyone is up for having a look at JAWS or JWTs. Cool. So with this, what we have now is that this is stored in a cookie in the Next.js example. So what we could do here too is we could place it in local storage. And then, because I prefer local storage just over cookies. So let's just do local storage, set item, my fancy user. And then we would have, let's give this an object here, const mapped user. And then we paste this one in there. Here we go. And then we can do here JSON stringify mapped user. And then we have set user mapped user. And with this, let's see. Do I miss a curly somewhere? It's mapped user. Here we go. So with this, what we should have now is that when it logs in, there should be a new local storage entry with the JWT. So this is refreshing, it's opening up the thing. And when I now go into the application panel of my dev tools, we should have local storage. Here we go. And here we have our fancy user. So what we now would have to do is we would have to check if this entry is available. And if it is not, we would log in with the pop-up, because otherwise we are already logged in. So let's do const user equal JSON parse local storage. Yeah, and I shouldn't go with dashes here because then I cannot use the shortcut here. Local storage, my fancy user. Here we go. And then if user, then we're gonna say set user, and we're gonna return from here. So theoretically, now what should be that is when I'm once I'm logged in, that I'm not seeing the logout. Okay. Unexpected token in JSON, yada yada yada. So we need first of all a try catch in here, because I assume it's throwing because the key is not available. So let's see, local storage and then whatever, because it is not available, which is undefined. And then when you do JSON parse on this one, it's just throwing very badly. So let's fix that one. Yeah, this is exactly what we see. So let's bring in try catch. Here we go. And then here we go. So, and if this throws, we actually don't want to do anything, which is okay. Do nothing. We should extract that in another function actually. Let's go here and do function get user. And we can move all these things up here now so that I don't have a single try catch hanging around. So here we do return null. And then we can just return user here. So then it's everything a little bit nicer. So let's remove the line, and then we have get user, which we can should we do it actually, should we do it in here or should we do it here? We could actually do it like this. And then it might work already. So what we can do now is, let's do a refresh. There's a syntax error. Here we go. So when we, yeah, come on, let's reload that. Okay, now we have a null user object. Now we have a user object. And if I'm now refreshing, it's still triggering the thing. So this is because use effect is still ran. What we're going to do here is if not user, let's move that just up. And with this, we shouldn't have this pop-up coming in anymore once I am logged in. Here we go. So let's log out. Let's log in. I need a I need a login button, huh? Log out button is not enough. So how would we So what we can now do is we could have a login, log out, and this whole thing here could be a function now. So let's do const login, something like this. And then we can move everything in here. And then we could potentially drop the use effect hook. And now what we can have is on the other side is what we can do. If there's a user, say, so let's clean that up. So we have a fragment here and we have another fragment here. So what we want to do is we want to, if there's a user, then we want to have this, and otherwise we want to have a button that does login, and then we do log in, and login is not available yet because it's coming from here, login. Here we go. So with this, potentially what we could do now is that well, I have something mixed up. So if there is a user, on click logout, yeah, and if there's no user, login. Ah, yeah, okay. So what I can now do is I can click logout. Sweet. When I now refresh, we have to clean up the local storage on the logout. So let's do set user null and local storage clear. Now we should have a constant for this local storage key. So let's do local storage user key, which is my fancy user. So now I can grab this variable here. And what I can do is I can clear it up here. And when I put it into the local storage, I'm gonna do it here. So when I now go in and I'm gonna save the whole thing, let's see if that works. And I'm gonna clear up local storage here first, just to see if everything is working properly. So what we have here is nothing, okay? So I'm gonna press login. So it's asking and authenticating with GitHub. So now we have here my JWT web token, and when I log out, everything is gone. Nice. So, so what we are now able to do is already we're able to log in using Firebase auth. So when I now do a refresh, it should not ask me about. Nice. Looks like that is working nice. So what we now should do, there was something with Firebase rotating tokens or something. So let's have a look where that was. Use user, it was this on something. Here, this is what I mean, right? Firebase updates the ID token every hour. This makes sure the React state and the cookie are both kept up to date. So we have your Firebase on auth on ID token change. Oh yeah, we can totally just reuse that because that looks pretty good. But this now means that we would have to bring in back use effect, and because this would be a side effect that comes out of nowhere every hour. So what we can do is we can now say da 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 da. User data, and now we come up basically with the same function here. Okay, let's bring it up here. Function map user, here we go. To kind of not pass around the whole user object, but basically have something like this. So let's bring that one in. So get this from the user. This has to be an async function. Mapped user, and return this. Here we go. So with this, what we can do is we can call map user in the stuff that we had, which was basically const mapped. Oh yeah. So let's drop these lines and we can do now mapped users equal get. What did I call it? I did call it get mapped user. Here we go. And then we can have that here. We pass in the user. Same thing. And then we would have to have something similar to this one. Here we go. If user, get mapped user, local storage, done. Else, local storage clear local storage user and set user null. Sweet. So something is not right here. Huh. Local storage clear, it's mapping. I use that. Oh, it's complaining here too. Isn't it local storage clear? Local storage clear. Let's see. How do I define how do I clear a single local storage clear single key? Remove item. Ah, alles klar. Remove item. So that now should be cool. And that should be cool too. Sweet. So with this, we now have a little bit of Firebase auth going, which is already pretty sweet. So let's just have a look if it's still working. Here we go. Let's see. Anything problematic going on here? No. What's taking so long here? I'm not doing anything fancy. Okay. Stop. Okay, let's just reopen that. Looks like, here we go. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, René, that is right. So the auth flow is now running completely in the client. So if we now would have additional functionality here, so we have a fancy user, nothing. Okay, something is wrong here. Why is that an empty object? Let's see. So it's running completely only in the client. Huh, I messed something up, which means that then we could potentially have, for example, if we render a list of today I learned posts, we could then enrich the whole thing when the JavaScript kicks in, and then just make kind of upvote, downvote buttons appear or something. But let's see if we make it to that one. Okay, I have something wrong here. Something is setting my fancy user to an empty object. So you see here when I remove this key, which I cannot remove here right now, something is setting it automatically. Ah, is it probably that I don't have a, isn't that? Let's see. Is the mapping function not working properly anymore? So, so set user, mapped user, get mapped user. That looks all good to me. And get mapped user. So is it this effect? So let me just quickly comment out this effect and let's see what happens then. So I'm gonna clear that one up. It is not possible to delete stuff? What's going on? So we have hello. Yeah, the user object is empty. So we're now gonna log in. Okay, looks like I broke something on the way. And I think mapped user. Let's have a look what's going on here. So when we have a look at the console. Aha. So this is, of course, a promise here. So this is the problem that we're having here. So with this, we should now be able to see something real in the local storage. Yeah. Nope. Okay, what's the problem here? So let's see. So that was one problem. So we have a weight gap mapped user. So let's do that again. Do I have another set item? Huh. Remove item, remove item. So first of all, we want to have this one here to the constant key. Was that it? That shouldn't be it. But something is constantly setting. That doesn't make much sense here, to be honest. I want to remove that key here, which it doesn't let me do. And when I look into the console, we have this. What? So, okay, let's just clean up for a moment because here's a lot of stuff that we don't need anymore. Use effect. Local storage user key here. And then we have return user. Firebase logout, that makes sense. Are we making it to this point here? Let's see. So when I do a refresh here, I'm gonna log out, I'm gonna log in. What's happening here? This is the problem. So get mapped user. So this call here that is now, what is 400? 400 is not authenticated, isn't it? So let's have a look. Ooh, I'm using Canary and the network panel is down here. Oh my god. Hoppa. Okay. So what we have here is I'm not interested, I'm probably interested in the 400 that I see. So log in 400. Bad requests. Can we, let's see. Didn't I have exactly the same? Didn't I have this code here? Here? So I had const mapped user. It was exactly like that, wasn't it? So when I now do a refresh here, let's see. Log me out, log me in. What? What is what? Mapped user. It's not placing the right stuff. I'm not sure how I feel about this network panel being down here. Honestly, I'm not sure about this. And something is still weird with the. Is it a canary thing? Let me just reopen the. DevTools. Let's see what's going on. So log me out. Can I move that up? I prefer up there, to be honest. Okay. So when I'm gonna log in, no, it's still the same thing, I think. And here we now have a 400. I think the problem is that this body here is empty. But I'm not really sure where this is coming from. So let's... it's here. This is async too. Aha, okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back with this one. Oops. We're gonna go back with this one. Let's clean that up. So and then there's the question, can hooks be async functions, or is it complaining about that? I'm pretty sure it's complaining about that. So let's see what happens. There should be some React tooling that tells me, hey, Stefan, you want to use an async hook, right? Is that a thing? So let's see. Invalid hook call. Hooks can only be called inside of the body of a function component. This could happen for one of the following reasons. Yeah, I think it doesn't like that. So what we do here is we do... Oh no, but get user is actually not async. This is correct, actually. Login is not a function. That doesn't make sense. Didn't touch it. Log in, log out, log in, log out. But get user is not using anything stateful here. Should it be in there? Because it's basically just reading local storage. Use state. I mean, we can give it a try. And I'm pretty sure that it would work. Okay, so let's have a look. So something broke on the way here. So let's figure out what's going on here. So let's click login. Login is not a function. Are you kidding me? So log out, log in. Log in, log out. Let's move these around, first of all, so that it's more logical. And then we Yeah, okay, so this cannot be an async function, surprise, surprise. Which makes actually a lot of sense. So, and then I really think that get user should work in here. Let me just give it a... How about putting get user inside the use user hook? Oh, that is actually a nice idea. But wouldn't we then have local storage handling in several places of the app? I'm not really sure if how can I put that down here? So how about get inside the use user hook? So Niels, I think you're referring to something like this here, right? So use user, and then pass it down into the hook. Is that what you're saying? So then we could have, then we could have, but actually I don't like that very much, to be honest. I think it should be just in here. And I really think that this should work here. Because I really don't get what is... I think it's time for a debugger. What do you think? Should we open the debugger here? I think it's time. So what we should... let's have a look at what is happening here. So and I'm adding a debugger here, and then what we're gonna do is we're also gonna have a debugger here. And then let's see where this empty object is coming from. And where I messed it up on in the meantime. So my expectation here is that this is not the right object, but let's find out what the problem is. So I already have a debugger hit here. So we are in use user, and when I would like to have all this stuff on top, because I cannot, how do I navigate this now? So what I would like to do is, now what we could do is we could have, that has to be possible somehow. Move that up. Aha, move to top. Okay, now we're talking. Okay, so in this context here right now, when I do get user, I get an object because it was there in the first place. Something put it there. Let's just get rid of this empty object here, because it's somehow, for some reason, it's not deletable. So if object keys dot length return user, and otherwise return null to here. So what we can do now is we can do a refresh here. Do I have to press play now? Okay. So when we're now here and I'm gonna call get user, it should be null. Okay. So with this, all cool. Now we can press login, which logs in, nice. And now we're in a different place. And when we now press play here, it's still having the same issue. That is super weird. Maybe it's not a problem with the code after all. Let's do that again. Let's inspect the user object. I don't know what's going on here. So we're now in here and we have the result. And when we have a look at result user, what? Result user. Thank you. So here we have the user, and the user should have, what do we do in source code? We grab the UID and email. UID is there. My email is there. So that looks good. So we grab the user. There shouldn't be. Why is that called already again? Okay, looks like the debugger is dying. Okay, let's see. Let's see what's going on here. Let's remove that line here. And just because Canary seems to start dying, I'm gonna refresh. Yeah. So we're in the use user hook. Okay, let's log in. And it comes back. But didn't we have it working? I just shuffled some code around. So I think the problem is this thing here. So did I? But I also cannot clear this here anymore. Is there something else that is stored somehow? Okay, there is some weird cookies on. Am I in a weird state? Let's just clean everything up. Did that work here now? So no cookies. Still the 400. And the empty object here. On remove item. Yeah, you're right. Let's have a look what happens here. Thanks, René. So we're gonna refresh here. I'm gonna log out. No, yeah, but we are not entering that part actually. Because this is the logout function and we're not entering that one. I really don't get it. Why I cannot delete this thing here, to be honest. Is that a... I don't know. So where is this log coming from? It should include login actually. So this is coming from index.js 11. Okay. It just doesn't log everything. Yeah, something is calling set item all the time. So it's only twice in this file, and once it's, yeah, that's it. And the key is here. And there's also no effect handler here or use effect or something. Get. So the problem is the JWT, right? This is what is failing. I'm pretty sure that this is the problem. So this should actually throw, right? So when we go in here, this stuff is probably throwing with the 400 that we have. And then everything is puzzled for a reason. So let's have a look if it is. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try a new key right after that one to really see if this is the problem that is. So we're gonna log in. Yeah. And then users undefined. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So let's try a new key here. Let's call it René's key. And here we go. We're gonna do a refresh. And when we go into the application panel, nothing is there. We're gonna log in for the first time. René's key is now undefined. But we still have the 400. And so the mapped user is then undefined. Yeah. And the reason for that is that this call seems to throw for some reason. So let's have a look at that. The frustrating part here is that it was working already, right? I mean, we have seen it running already. So yeah, I have no idea about the Firebase consoles. We could have a look at, whoops. What? How can I be logged out? Is it auto-logging out after 30 minutes? So we have here the project. We have one app running. Analytics? I don't know. So we're dealing with authentication. And I'm not sure what we can see here. Yeah, I'm not sure what to click at here, to be honest, René. So but what we're gonna, I really don't get it, because we had this exact same thing running. So the problem is that for some reason that currently we got a 400 response here twice, so it doesn't matter there where it is. So let's have a, maybe let's have a look at the request, and maybe we see something in the response body or something. Maybe there's an undefined or whatever. So when we have a look at this thing, when we have a look at this thing, come on, I want to get rid of the console. Yeah. When we have a look at this, it has a refresh token. It has a key. Is there something in state that Okay, I don't want to finish that without having the same functionality back in here, to be honest. Is there anything in the other file that... No. Let's have another look at this buddy here. So when I go in here, let's do another round with logging in. Now we're in the debugger, and I assume that in the debugger I can do an await this thing here in the console. Oh, but wait, what's the true? Is that a refresh token? What if we do this? It's probably refresh and initial token or something. Let's see if that's it. Okay. Come on, Firebase, don't leave me alone. What did just happen? Console. Nah! Oh. No, that is correct. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Oh, it's this Boolean, isn't it? Yeah, it's the Boolean. So I think that in this case here, this is when I introduced the bug. So mapped user, let's bring in something like refresh in here. Refresh equals true. And then we can go up here and we can have an get mapped user, and then we have an options object, and we say refresh equals false. And then we have refresh. How are default parameters? Like this. Yeah. I think now we're back on track. So I think that this get ID token, and I'm not opening the documentation now. So now we can log in. We can... Are you kidding me? Refresh false. Can I go into the type definition? I've seen type definitions here somewhere. So Firebase get ID token. I think that's it. That close. That close. Get ID token. Force refresh. Returns a JSON web token. Returns the current token if it has not expired. Otherwise, this will refresh. Force refresh regardless of token expiration. What if we just drop that? Does that still work? So let's see. Get mapped user, okay. So now we have a wrong entry in local storage again, which is René's key. My fancy user still cannot be updated. Empty. I don't get it. What is happening here? So it's clearing up the key. It's logging in the thing. So that now works, and log out works. So that seems to work when I refresh. Huh. And here is where the call was made. The call is on the reloading, huh? So when the hook runs again, Okay, let's ignore the use effect for a moment. Yeah, I'm ignoring the second parameter for now because I'm not really sure if that's really it. So let's just see if this works without the use effect hook first. So let's get rid of René's key. So when we do a refresh here, oh boy, that is a long day here today with this. Okay, so we're gonna log in. Everything looks good, and when I now do a refresh, everything looks still good, and when I now look out, everything is gone. Okay, so that is cool. So and then there's this use effect hook on ID token changed, which I assume is every time that we log in, this whole thing will be called. How did the next people have that? Yeah, same thing. This is maybe the problem here. We're not cleaning up. Could that be it? Okay, and if that's not it, I think I'm done here for today. Do they use? Let's have a look at if they use the Boolean. They go with a true. So okay. So when we now do, where are we here? We're here. I'm gonna log in. That looks good. And we're gonna refresh. So I think this buddy here is the problem. And this is, do we have the call? Well, that is a very annoying debugging session here. So here we have the problem. I'm very certain that this is the thing here. So what we're gonna do, let's clean up. Okay, René's key closed. Play. Yeah, log me out. Here we go. So this is way more often called if user, yeah. So when we go in here, local storage remove entry, yeah, that makes sense, and set user null. That looks good. So now we log in. This is triggered here now. Aren't we making two calls to the Firebase API here and now? Like the same calls? So when we now do, so this looks good. So when we now do a refresh here, Everything is there, but the callback is now fired from the onID token change. And here we have now a user. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that is my last try here. So this is basically when it's revoking the values. Okay, so that looks like there is stuff there. Email address is there, everything is there. So we're going into the condition here, and we're going into get mapped user. And what now? Now it's, what is that? Cannot read property request content of undefined. What? Okay. Well, that was very unfruitful today. Thanks René and thanks Niels for hanging out though. I'm sorry that today was a little bit jumpy here. I'm also sorry that the stream crashed twice. I'm gonna figure out what we're gonna do with this one here the next week. For people that want to participate or have any wishes on where we should go with this, I plan then for next week Tuesday that we have this code running on GitHub, and would be cool to open some GitHub issues to Niels, you didn't get it to work? Oh my boy. Okay. Well, I'm gonna figure that one out till next week. Thank you too for joining. Either way, next week I'm gonna recap what the solution was, but I feel like I don't need to. First of all, I need a break, and I don't need to debug that here on that level here right now. Anyways, thank you too for hanging out with me tonight. And I hope that we see each other next week. And that's it. And next week, we probably will have some music in the background. Let's see if that is a thing, because I'm looking forward to not sit alone here in my room in silence. And with that, have a great rest of your night. And thank you for hanging out with me.